Welcome back to our program. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. In this segment, we will continue our conversation with Councilman Ron Natinsky from the city of Dallas. Ron, I'm going to ask you, what's your purpose of your trip, of your delegation to Taipei this time?
Well, really two main reasons for coming, plus just minor ones of renewing old relationships. But the two key ones were to meet with both EVA Air and China Air, and see if we can't develop a business plan that would move us to having direct flights between Dallas and Taipei. We've had those two good meetings today, and so we've accomplished that part. The other part is we've had the honor of having a visit arranged with the president of Taiwan. And so that'll take place tomorrow, and so we're looking forward to that. We've got a large delegation from the Taiwanese community that is over here with us to join us in that. For myself, I was introduced to President Ma when he was Mayor Ma, Mayor of Taipei. So for me, it's been interesting to watch the progression
of his career.
Be a great honor to meet him tomorrow. So those are the two key things, and then just the continual building of the relationships between
and finding new ones. I also know that another purpose of the trip is to attend an international conference on the Taoyuan Aviation City, or the Aerotropolis project. And how does that fit into Dallas's plan?
Well, that was one other thing. It's the non-business part, but it's important. The county of Taoyuan, where the airport's located, is having its first annual Aerotropolis. Somewhat of a tongue twister.
Word,
it's like Metropolis, but Aerotropolis. And they invited the mayor of Dallas, Mayor Tom Leppert, to speak and do the initial opening address to the group tomorrow, and also to have some other meetings with regards to what they can learn from how Dallas has developed its airport, and some of the things that that could be done here at the Taipei, based on and vice versa. And again, I think probably what we would like to do is maybe establish somewhat of a sister airport type of relationship between the two airports and the cities. So that's another exciting thing that we're going to be doing here tomorrow.
But based on your experience back home of the Dallas and Fort Worth airport, I'm sure that there are many companies, many businesses with that experience on their record that would like to be a part of the construction project at the Taoyuan Aviation City or Aerotropolis. How would you, as a member of the City Council, try to facilitate getting the businesses back home involved in an international project of such a magnitude in Taiwan?
Well, interestingly enough, we have one gentleman and his wife that has joined us on this delegation. He's a minority construction company, engineering company back in Dallas. Has done some work on the mainland. Has not done any work in Taiwan yet. Heard about the trip. Did some work for our transit company in Dallas, and said, "Oh, you're going to Taiwan? Going to Taipei? They're going to build a lot of construction. I mean, it's worth it for me to
be a part of this.
To get over there and to meet some of the introductions." So in fact, today he's with our transit agency people visiting your metro system, and he plans on participating in the Aerotropolis meetings tomorrow. And so that's the kind of entrepreneurship we have. They're not afraid to get on a plane and fly halfway around the world to meet some people with the possibility of doing business. So
to explore what's available out there.
So Luis Spinola and Azteca Construction is today in Taipei investigating the possibilities of partnership, because as he has done in other locations, he has partnered with local companies. So you bring a certain piece of expertise with you, and you then team up with a local company, and you have a win-win situation.
But I also think that with such a huge project in Taoyuan, that it's not only the construction, not only the hardware itself that we need international expertise and experience, but also in terms of the management. Once the aviation project is, city project is complete, how do we manage it? How do we promote it? of course, we can also learn from other, well-known cities, their airports around the world, like Singapore or Incheon, Korea, for that matter. But what can we learn from Dallas?
Well, interesting from Dallas is that in the old days, we had an airport in Dallas, and Fort Worth had an airport, and we were feuding all the time.
That's right. You were competing.
And now we're big brother, little brother, and we're in the same family.
Together.
And we took, I think, 17,000 acres of land outside the city that was nothing.
No.
And started from scratch in the 60s, and today we have the third biggest, busiest airport
in the world.
Yes. And we've received awards. We have the J.D. Powers, Customer Service Award, and those types of things. And that comes from having good management in place.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, we have an airport board that makes the decisions, but we have an executive that runs the airport, and we have staff that run the airport. And just like the city, when you think about it, the airport is just a business.
No, it's more than just a business.
Well,
it's an image.
But it's not for profit. It's to serve the customers.
Of course.
And the image that someone has when they visit Dallas is the first thing is when they step off the plane, and then they get in a taxi cab, and then they get to see the city. So it's important to us to have our front door be a good representative of the city of Dallas. And it's come through a lot of hard work. So I think, and we are not afraid of sharing that. So if Taipei can learn from us and we can work together, we can learn things during your construction of the Aerotropolis that maybe we want to go back and remodel our airport.
Do more expansion with the airport back home. And in addition to the major purposes that you mentioned, Ron, I know you've been to Taiwan many, many times. And previously, of course, you were not in government, that you came here as a private business person.
Right.
And what was your impression of Taipei, of Taiwan in general?
Well, when I first started coming here in about 1980, it was certainly different than it is today. But even then, I think Taiwan was a very progressive, energetic city.
Very vibrant.
And of course, at that time, there were not very many people from the States that came over here at all. So my wife and I would be the only ones out on the street that, but watching the progress has been very interesting for us over the years, because as we come back and we see the changes, and you see things like Taipei 101, being built up, and you see the metro system being built, I tell you what, I certainly don't miss the millions of little scooters that were everywhere back then. Today, the air is cleaner. It's
done better.
So it's a lot better city, and I consider it one of the key cities in the world on an international stage that people need to visit. And when you get out of the city and you go into the rest of Taiwan, and you see the green hills and a lot of the other things, out of the metro area, that many people should take time to go do.
You mentioned Taipei 101. I understand that a Dallas-based construction company had a lot to do with the construction of the project itself. Turner construction, and I know the mayor was part of the Turner construction team.
The mayor was the main man. He was president of Turner.
Okay. And certainly was involved in the process. But as somebody who's been to Taiwan so many times yourself, you must have some indirect knowledge about how that project, has really put Taipei on the international map. Can you share with us some of that experience?
Well, it's an interesting story. In fact, if I can expand a little, Raymond.
Please.
When Turner Construction was based in New York, he was responsible for moving them from New York to Dallas. Because it was a better city, it was better with air connections and travel and lower cost of doing business. And they doubled immediately from, I think, a $4 billion company to an $8 billion in a couple of years, and they have continued to grow since then. So it's kind of interesting, and I know he was heavily involved by being president of Turner. He wasn't there hammering on the walls, but it was under his reign that Taipei 101 was built. And so what you have is you have a company based in Dallas with an international reach, and going to another country and another city and helping local, because it's not as if we brought all the construction workers from America. The construction workers were right here local. And so I think it's, again, a good example of a partnership where an international U.S.-based company is responsible for building a local project that will become a landmark. I think Taipei 101 will be sort of the Empire State Building of
Asia, not just Taiwan.
And even though there are bigger, taller buildings in New York, everybody remembers the Empire State Building.
Yes.
So right now, Taipei 101 is the tallest building in the world.
Yes.
And maybe somebody will put a little antenna on something else and make it a little
trumpet.
Yeah, but people will still remember Taipei 101.
Yeah, I think also for Taiwan, it was a very important project in terms of how we can build such a huge construction structure and then really put Taiwan on the international map. But I mean, before we end this segment, Ron, I want to ask you then, what are the other areas that you've seen that's different about Taipei from what you first or the previous visits that you made to the city, other than what you just mentioned? How do you think that in terms of our relationship, for example, with our neighbor, mainland China, how is that helping Taiwan in terms of combating the global financial downturn, and also in terms of helping our economic competitiveness in the future?
Well, I mean, when you turn back the clock, when I first came to Taiwan and to Taipei to do business, the business was located here.
Yes.
And then over the years, for lower cost of manufacturing labor, you had Taiwanese companies that were the pioneers onto the mainland. And had that not taken place, I don't think mainland China would be where it is today.
Yes.
So I think the entrepreneurship that took place for the Chinese businessmen that were here in Taiwan to risk going to the mainland, it was a brave step. Now we turn the clock back, forward now, and now we opened up the cross-strait flights.
Yes.
I think that's going to be better for Taiwan, and you're going to have travel back and forth. I think the opportunity for tourism is going to be immensely increased. And at the same time, you have a lot of people that move to the States and maybe have never come back to Taiwan and would like to. So that's where the direct flight comes back in.
And now with the direct flight, we can really fully exploit our advantage in our geographic location, being so close to Asia and other parts of the region. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, and we're going to conclude our conversation with Mr. Ron Natinsky, City Councilman of the City of Dallas. We'll be right back.